I'm going to go ahead and start this video out by saying that we probably should have seen this coming, but man, is it delicious to watch.
Our picket lines are more full than ever, and now we have another union on strike with us. And, the last time writers and actors went on strike together was 1960. What we won in 1960 was our health and pension plans and the existence of residuals. That was the most important negotiation in LA union history.
Yeah, I think that when Bob Iger talks about what a shame it is, he needs to remember that in 1980, CEOs like him made 30 times what their lowest worker was making. Now Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is.
When I started doing film and TV, I went in and started doing background, and one of the things they spoke about was that they were going to pay a background actor for 1 day work and then use their likeness in perpetuity, like forever, without paying them. And I'm like, that is not okay. Like most background actors, like they are professional background actors. That is their job. And for you to take that away from them, that's crazy. So it's not just about, like the actors. I know there's been a lot of talk of like, oh, actors already make a lot of money. It's like, no, it's about like.
There's actually a lot to talk about with this one here. We got to talk about the hypocrisy. We got to talk about the state of the industry itself going forward, why it is that they're in this situation. And obviously there's going to be this little thing that's going to be, let's just say, pumped out much, much further in the near future. And I'm talking about the R word, as in remakes. So as you guys can see, Hollywood is on strike. Now you're probably asking yourself a question: why in the world are we talking about a bunch of actors? And my response to it is this here. You are seeing now exactly how easily you can be replaced in any field. And this video, believe it or not, has got ramifications not just for Hollywood, but it could at the same time result in ramifications for everyone else, because obviously the thing that they are complaining about, while they say it is pay, I don't think that's the real truth. I think the media could be throwing these people under the bus, but still, there's a lot of hypocrisy here. I think it was Razorfist who called that when he said that due to the fact that Hollywood would not survive the coup, which, by the way, Bob Iger spoke about, which I did decide to actually go back and rewatch his interview and put a couple of minutes of that in here. Don't worry, we'll get to that here in a second. That, yes, it looks like you're running out of ideas, and eventually you're going to start doing remakes like he called in that video, because obviously Hollywood is not exactly making the money that people thought it would make post-pandemic. And seeing how it is that you've got a local, smaller indie film that was made back in 2017, 2018 timeframe that just got released, that is actually outdoing some of the summer's biggest blockbusters, yeah, I have a feeling some spending cuts are on their way. And obviously these people are seeing that they can officially say to themselves, I guess I don't have a safe job here. Of course, we're talking about B, C, D level actors, those who are replaceable. Apparently the idea is that they want to have the actor show up, film one scene, and then they use the AI likeness for the rest of their acting career. Obviously, people like DiCaprio, Pitt, bigger name actors, actresses, they're obviously going to continue to get roles. But to hear these people complain about pay, I think is absolutely hilarious, especially given the fact that the average actor makes more money than the regular common Joe will make, and of course that right there being in a year than what most common Joes will make in 5 or 6 years, and in some cases is much, much higher. I thought the people, let's just put it this way here, people are praising Sean Gunn for what he said this past weekend. Don't worry, we'll get to him soon. And of course you've got Mark Ruffalo out there dressed almost like a homeless person out there saying, yeah, I think Mark Ruffalo may want to keep his mouth closed at this moment in time, but let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go ahead and kind of dive into this. Let's go ahead and start with what Bob Iger initially said.
How is that going to impact things, and what are your expectations there?
Well, I think it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges that we're facing and the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on the behalf of its members to get the most compensation, to be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being
and
realistic?
dangerous. No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that question. I respect their right and their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people. I completely respect that. I've been around long enough to understand that dynamic and to appreciate it. But you also have to be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver. It is and has been a great business for all of these people, and it will continue to be, even through disruptive times. But, being realistic is imperative.
What do you
here.
do in the interim then? Does AI start to write a lot of scripts?
It will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business, and unfortunately,
the strike will.
There's huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are, who are support services. I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of, different regions even because of just the sheer size of the business.
Spending cuts are coming, seeing how it is that Disney's not making the money that it was it needs to make from the theme parks, the action figures. I talked about this in Friday's video, and of course, the failures at the box office ranging from Indiana Jones 5 to The Little Mermaid to Elemental. Yeah, it's not exactly what we call a good day to be a Disney employee. Of course, if you worked for ESPN, chances are you probably found this out already. But then again, though, leave it to the media to praise someone like Sean Gunn to come out here and say this.
Bob Iger talks about what a shame it is. He needs to remember that in 1980, CEOs like him made 30 times what their lowest worker was making. Now Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame, Bob. And maybe you should take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, why is that? And not only why is that, is it okay? Is it morally okay? Is it ethically okay that you make that much more than your lowest worker? And if so, why? Why is that okay? If your response is that that's just the way business is done now, that's just the way corporations work now, well, that sucks, and that makes you a person if that's your answer. So you should come up with a better answer.
Somebody like Sean on our side, somebody who's in the working class to actually call this out. But the problem is these guys are actors that make a lot more money than, quite frankly, we will ever make. Now, of course, there's also this one of Ron Perlman, which I'm not going to bother you guys with that. I don't even want to mention that scumbag. But, whatever. The thing is this right here. This right here is absolutely hilarious. The reason why is because now these people can officially see that they are, in fact, replaceable. I'm not siding with either one of these guys. I think Bob Iger is obviously, with his woke turn at Disney, has done a lot of this to himself. But then again, though, at the same time, though, obviously the actors who took part in this, they're obviously going to pay for this nonsense, of course, with them not being able to get any acting roles. Spending cuts were obviously going to happen at some point in time, especially given the fact that Hollywood has not really and truly recovered from the coup. And I have a feeling that we're about to see exactly what Razorfist said, which, by the way, is remakes. Hell, there is actually a remake coming out of Snow White, a live-action remake. And I almost made a video solely on this right here, but the thing is this. To me, it's hilarious. When I first saw this, the woke seven dwarves, my mind immediately said, this has got to be a joke. This has got to be an actual parody. This thing right here cannot be real. Of course, it already got roasted online. And, I figured, if this right here is the lowest that we're going to go, we got to bring these people in. Because obviously, I think I know now that it looks like they may be forced to stick with the woke. By the way, guys, I think we're getting closer to the end of this whole woke nonsense. A lot of this is because, as you guys know, with Bud Light, Target, and all the woke corporations getting put in their place, once you actually assert your boundaries and actually put your foot down, these people eventually start to walk away, meaning that they tend not to want to push this thing any further. It's a big reason why it is that I think the ESPN brought over Pat McAfee, so that way they could kind of tone down their wokeness, and they laid off a lot of very, very woke employees, people who carried the woke line for that company, and now they've been replaced with Pat McAfee. But, of course, at some point in time, trust me, you will see Pat McAfee have to be carry the line himself. But don't worry, we'll talk more about that in videos later on. But there is one thing I do want to end on, and it's what to expect out of this town going forward. Now, guys, I mentioned earlier that these people were complaining about pay, benefits. I didn't say benefits, but you saw the Associated Press clip. You might have an idea what these people are complaining about. Me, like I said, I could really and truly care less about their actual complaints and grievances because, as I said before, they make more money than I could ever hope to make in a year. In a span of about 5 years. They make a lot more money just for showing up on set. So it makes you wonder what happens to Hollywood now, seeing how it is that they want to use B-generated figures, AI, whatever, for B actors, whatever. It makes me think to myself that obviously movies are probably going to go much, much more in the CGI direction, which means that the films themselves are probably going to suck. It's going to be pretty easy to kind of figure out what's fake, what's real. It's going to be pretty easy to figure out that obviously, we don't want to sit back and watch something that's completely AI generated. We also don't want to sit here and look at aging stars who have to be de-aged, like in the case of Indiana Jones. Now, that worked temporarily, but of course, if that had been the way the entire film, it would have looked like a disposable nostalgia piece, and we probably would have said, why didn't you release this film 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago? And after a while, people would just catch on to it and say, look, we don't want to live too much in the past. Nostalgia is good, but we don't want to get fully sucked in altogether. Then you get this problem where you run out of things to write, which, by the way, is another one of the reasons why I feel that they may have not received as much pushback as you might would have thought from this whole woke nonsense. Look, most of your writers, most of your Hollywood directors, most of your actors, of course, are in fact on the left-leaning side. Some of these people, of course, in the case of Mark Ruffalo, are pretty much communists. However, there are some out there who are classical liberals who understand if they go too political with their messaging inside of a film, it could completely alienate their audience. I mean, look, George Lucas is very, very much on the left, but I know George Lucas is kicking and screaming, and he is absolutely upset with what the hell they did to Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Fact of the matter is that even those liberal lefty writers, especially those from the past, they're very, very, let's just say they're very queer about their work. I say queer about their work because obviously if you put the word in it with the two E's, YouTube will find a way to put a yellow dollar sign on this video and make sure it not get promoted. Obviously, I want my videos to get promoted so that way you guys can see what the hell is going on. But the fact of the matter is this here. What people are oftentimes not seeing is that those classical liberal types, they could have been very, very effective in fighting back against the woke agenda, but obviously they needed some work, and now they're starting to find out that, the woke oftentimes loves to eat the libs and loves oftentimes to eat the woke, so these people are probably sitting down thinking to themselves, where else do we turn? My feeling is that these actors are eventually going to get phased out, or they're eventually going to get replaced, so that way Hollywood can just turn out more remakes. And here's my deal about remakes. Remakes can be good if you stick to the source material and find the right actors to actually replace the actors from the previous film. But the problem is that remakes oftentimes get a little bit boring and they're not exactly viewed positively upon initial viewing, mostly due to the fact that you just can't topple the original. And let me make one final point, okay? And this right here does need to be made. Here's the deal about AI. AI not only affecting these actors, which by the way I think is actually hilarious now that because I've said it multiple times in this video, but what if they start using AI to generate fake photos of us? I mean, just think about it really quick. What if we're no longer needed and they just need our likeness for something? Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want to sound super conspiratorial or anything, but I just want to kind of throw this out here. As a matter of fact, I recall there was a DeSantis ad that was released by his campaign where they basically superimposed Donald Trump with Dr. Fauci, but yet at the same time, the photos that were being superimposed were actually of Trump hugging the American flag at rallies and stuff. I'm just using it as an example. Of course, this would end up in Tim Pool going on a massive tirade against the DeSantis campaign, which, by the way, I may make I was going to make a I was going to make a video about that, but for whatever reason, YouTube, for whatever reason, kind of like they did in my review this past weekend for Zulu, just kept on telling me that it was blocked or whatever. Very, very strange. Of course, that video was supposed to be on Gear Issue 33, but I'll discuss that in an updates video later on tonight right around 6 p.m. So that way you guys can kind of see exactly what we're kind of going through here when it comes to YouTube and copyright and everything. I just figured I would throw that little bit out there. And that is going to be the end of this video here. This video, by the way, is going to come out tonight at right around 7 p.m. There's going to be a video on the situation out of Illinois at 5, and there's going to be an update state of the channel video on Gear Issue 33, which, by the way, I officially changed it to. There was a video that was supposed to come out this week, and it was a review on this film, this battle, and it did not come out. The reason why it did not come out is because it could not survive copyright, and of course I had to go through 4 or 5 uploads, a lot like I did on my Fury video. But I'll be explaining that at right around 6 p.m. this afternoon, so make sure you guys stick around for that. I'll leave a link in the description box. And like always, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please hit the notifications bell, and also leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. I'll see you guys later.